Welcome back, families. Today we're going to talk about the three properties of multiplication. We have the commutative property, the distributive property, and the associative property. So I'm going to start with the commutative property. The commutative property says that I can take any two factors. So if I have 4 times 6, I can switch the order of my factors and I will still get the same product. So 4 times 6 is equal to 24, just like 6 times 4 is equal to 24. This can help students answer facts faster. For example, if they see 5 times 9, they might recognize that fact faster since the 5 comes first. They might recognize this faster than 9 times 5. And we encourage students to look at the factors. As long as they know both factors, then they'll be able to solve their problem and find their product. So all it really says is you can switch the order of the factors and you will get the same product. The second property that we have been working on is called the distributive property of multiplication. And the distributive property is taking one large or main fact and breaking it up into smaller facts that are more easily recognized and that we're more able to break up. So if I was going to do the fact 7 times 4, I'm going to break one of my factors up. Some students still need to see the array drawn as well, so I'm going to draw that over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I have 4 over in each row. So I have 7 rows of 4. So I see this 7 right here, and I see the 4 across. This also could look like 4 columns of 7. So it could be either fact, but we want students to go down first and then over. So the number of rows and then the number of columns. So if I chose to break up the 7, I know that 7 breaks into 2 and 5. I would break this into 2 and 5. 2s are very easy to multiply by because all we do is double, and we can use addition doubles facts. And 5 is very easy to multiply because students are very familiar with skip counting by 5s from counting money in 2nd grade and into 3rd grade. So I'm going to break my 7 rows into 2 rows, and this would be 5 rows. So I no longer have one big array. I have one smaller array on top and a smaller array on the bottom. This 7 got broken into 2 times and 5 times. The other factor 4 is not changing because I only broke the rows up. I did not break any columns up. 2 times 4 and 5 times 4. I can also see that by counting 2 times 4 and 5 times 4. 2 times 4 is a smaller fact. It's very manageable. Doubles. 4 plus 4 is 8. 5 times 4, I can skip count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20. So now I know that the top part of my array is worth 8. The bottom part of my array is worth 20. I have 2 parts, and I need to add them together to find my total product or the total in my array. So 20 plus 8 is equal to 28. So all together, 7 times 4 makes 28. The way that your students see this in their workbook or on a lot of their homeworks is 7 times 4 is equal, and they have 2 facts with parentheses plus another fact with parentheses. This is the same thing as right here. 7 times 4 is equal to 1 part plus another part. I broke 7 times 4 into 2 smaller arrays. The first array was 2 times 4 plus The other array was 5 times 4. I then solve each product. 2 times 4 was 8. I'm adding the two parts together. 5 times 4 is 20. 7 times 4 is also the same as 8 plus 20. 7 times 4 is equal to 28. It doesn't matter which way I write it, whether I start with my fact, I write one small array, two small arrays, and add my parts together. I start with my fact, I find the two smaller facts, add them together, and find my product. Either way, I'm getting 28. All I'm doing is breaking up facts. If I do this the other way, my fact was 7 times 4. I can also break up the other factor. It doesn't matter which factor I break up. If I want to break up the 4, I could break that into 2 and 2. So I now have 7 times 2, 7 times 2, and I have 7 times 2. That's very easy to multiply. It's just doubles. 7 plus 7 is 14. 7 times 2 is 14, or 7 plus 7 is 14. This part is worth 14. This part is worth 14. When I add my two parts together, I get 28. The other way of looking at this would be 7 times 4 is equal to one fact plus the other small fact. 7 times 4, I'm breaking the 4 up. It's equal to 7 times 2 and 7 times 2. All I'm doing is breaking one of the factors up. 2 plus 2 makes 4. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 14. 7 times 4 is equal to 28. If your student is struggling with basic math facts like 14 plus 14, this is going to be a little more tricky for them because we should have memorized, or we should be familiar with, very fluent with our math facts from 2nd grade. So we should not be getting stuck here. If your student's getting the math facts like this, I would encourage you to practice flashcards at home with them because that's a prerequisite skill. If they don't have that, they're a little behind, and we need to build that back up so that this isn't frustrating or too challenging. So the distributive property is used for bigger facts where we might not feel comfortable skip counting by 4s yet, or we might not be comfortable skip counting so high, or skip counting by 7s. Okay, the last property that we're going to look at is called the associative property of multiplication. This is easier to discuss with students when we put it with a word problem. So I might say that I have 2 bookshelves. Each bookshelf has 4 shelves with 3 books. If I look at a picture of this, that looks like 2 bookshelves. There's my bookshelf 1, bookshelf 2. Each has 4 shelves, and each one has 3 books. So if I want to put that into a number sentence, I have 2 groups of 4 times 3. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 3. That's where this comes in. So this is 4 times 3, and this is 4 times 3. I'm putting that inside of parentheses, and then I'm multiplying that by 2 because there are 2 of them. The associative property is really just multiplying 3 factors at a time, but for students it's easier if you put it into context, like a story, so they see why you would ever want to multiply 3 numbers at a time. I always need to multiply whatever is inside the parentheses first. 4 times 3 is 12. I bring down my parentheses. I bring down my other factor. 2 times 12, that's a doubles fact. 12 plus 12 is 24. That would be faster than me skip counting by 3s that many times, or it would be faster than getting my product here as 12 and 12 and doing 12 plus 12. It's the same thing. This is just a little faster, and that's what the associative property is stating. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this was really helpful.